Hello, hello, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Jianu, Pakhair Agale, Ni Hawa, Chuna Shume, Washmale, Hi Gonzaimas, Guten Morgen, hi, hugs and hellos and Khush Ahmadid to everybody who's tuned into PT World and are watching World this morning alongside Shazad Khan and Maha Makhdoom. Hello, Maha, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone. I'm very good today, Shazad. Actually, I've been better, but I'm happy to be on the show. It changes my mood. It makes me happier. It distracts me from life. So it's good.
That's what we are supposed to do, and I think that's what our mission is, to distract people from
Wake them
whatever
up.
is going on in your life, whatever negativity you have. Please make sure that you forget about it. It's time to rise and shine, wake and bake, get up, and we guys are going to get you pumped up.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to. I don't know about me. But anyway, Shazad, what are we going to be discussing today? We've got the headlines, and there's a lot of information out there because there's a lot happening this week.
Okay, so first of all, ladies and gentlemen, I think we should get done with the top
Headlines?
stories for this hour.
Let's go
So,
for it.
do you want me to start, or you
You can
want to
start.
start yourself?
You can start.
Okay, so we will
I'll
be
save
going in
mine.
the sequence, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And for everybody who's out there, the weather today is perfect. If
Is
you
it?
guys, if you guys want to go out for outing or somewhere else,
It's a
probably
bit
I think
gloomy, no?
that's what I'm loving right
Okay,
now. Yeah,
I
that's
know.
what I was loving. And it can vary from individual to individual as well. I mean, there can be people who might not like it. And at times, Maha, because of the fact that you've been living in England and it rains quite a lot over there, you do not like it over here, right?
Yeah, but to be honest, now after like almost 4 years, I'm actually starting to miss the rain and the gloominess. But the gloominess here is different because it's not cold.
Yeah. It's not cold, but you can still probably
Yeah.
just work out with that.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Anyway.
moving on with the top stories for this hour.
Yes.
And because yesterday we were discussing about the extension in the military code bill as well, so ladies and gentlemen, here's the good news. 28th Constitutional Amendment Bill 2017 seeking revival of military codes for another 2 years will be presented in Senate today as National Assembly passed bill with 2/3 majority.
Amazing.
Yeah, you want to go ahead with yours now?
No, you can do the next one. I'm saving mine.
You want me to do it? All
Yeah.
right.
Excellent.
All right, so now moving on, ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif Saab says Pakistan's economy has witnessed positive turnaround and is fast growing in face of numerous challenges inherited by government in 2013, and there's no doubt to that. And they say that load shedding will be history by 2018, and inshallah, that's
That
what
would
we
be
can
so
see.
amazing.
And the way we have progressed, the way all of the developmental projects have taken place, I think we are definitely at a very better situation and a position right now.
Great, and we see some faces that we recognize there as well, some senators and ministers. That's great. Okay, so the last news is that the nation will be celebrating Pakistan Day tomorrow with renewed commitment from the government and to defeat extremism and terrorism and work hard for the progress, prosperity and stability of the country. And we have seen in the last few years that things have gotten better, and we should celebrate this year because there's so many amazing people out there. When we were doing Women's Week, there were so many wonderful people. So it's a time to celebrate. There's always time to criticize and work on our shortcomings. But tomorrow is a day to be grateful that we have a nation and we have our freedom. And as mentioned before, that lots of countries don't and people are suffering. So we should really, really value it.
And we'll be celebrating alongside you guys. I mean, obviously the title is Yawm-e-Pakistan. So,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow we won't be live at 9 a.m. in the morning. We'll come live at 11 a.m. in the morning. We'll be with you till 1 in the noon as well. That's what it is. But other than that, Maha, what I love about the country right now is, and the progression is that, for all those people who are our counterparts, are from different countries, they are coming over here as well. We have had all the parliamentary women as well over here.
Yes.
And then other than that, on the Pakistan Day, we have got this Turkish band, we have got Chinese contingent, and then we have got Saudi contingent as well. I think that's the best part. That's the message which we are going to give away to the entire world, that, we're not alone. People have been trying to isolate us internationally, but
Yeah, and also, that at the end of the day, that every country has people in it. And, when you play these games politically, the people of the nation suffer. So, I just feel like this is a really great day to kind of move forward as a nation and also do our civil and our civic responsibility.
And with that, I think we'll have to move on to public service message.
Yes,
It is a
oh
very
yes,
special
of
day
course.
today.
It is World Water Day. So today our message is about water. As we know, there is not enough water in the world, even though majority of our planet is full of it. But drinking water is sparse. So when you guys are doing your washing up, when you're having a shower, when you you know, you don't need to keep the tap running. It's a real waste. There are people who are, you know, starving out there. There are people who are suffering. So just keep that in mind, that how lucky we are to have running water in our house. Don't waste it.
And other than that, I think, Maha, we can take advantage of the opportunity. And what I would love to say over here is, for example, you know, whenever you stop on traffic lights now, they've put all of those, you know, things, LEDs probably, which are there, and they tell you that, you know, okay, how much time is left, you can probably turn off your engine. Stop wasting natural resources. That's what it is. I've seen quite a lot of times, even when you go to different people's houses, the heater's on, the geyser's 24 hours on, you know, the stove is on. And we love to do it, I don't know, or whether we do it for our comfort just because of the fact that we'll have to turn it on again. It's just like that. For example, that you have turned on your mobile data. All right. So now what happens is, just because they charge you and you know that, you know, your credit won't be enough, you keep on turning it, switching it off, and then on. So please make sure that you do that.
Yeah, if you can do it for your phones, you can do it for the natural resources, which are being depleted, and we will run out. Nothing lasts forever, and it's not an, you know, ending tap or reservoir.
Our introductions have actually been very long lately, and, you know, the guest just keeps on smiling. But right now, let's jump on to what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, well, we're going to be discussing technical education. And now all these things are about learning about skills that we need in life and for work. Now, everything isn't degree-based anymore. There are work, you know, vocations out there where you can take up without actually going into a proper formal education. So we're going to highlight that, because not everyone can afford it, not everyone wants to do it, and also we need to start expanding our minds and our horizons, because the doctor, lawyer, engineer, it's old school now. You know, in the 21st century, let's bring our minds up to that.
Exactly, that's what it is. And ladies and gentlemen, the era we are living in right now, basically what happens is that we are becoming more specialized into one of the fields which we pick up on. Now, for example, if we were talking about doctors, engineers, back in the days, what used to happen was that people were jack of all trades. But now, today, there's so much advancement going on that, for example, people are, you know, specializing in marketing as well. People are specializing in avionics. People are specializing, because it is an era of specialization. You cannot have your hands within like 3-4 different fields just because of the fact that you think you can still pull it off. Please don't do that.
Okay.
Because learning a skill is very important.
Okay, so let's talk about how many skills one can learn and actually be practical and productive with it. So to discuss this topic and to discuss technical skill-based learning, we've been joined by Sabina Ahmed. She is an educationalist, but she's also a technical, vocational, and education training expert as well. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And in short, it's called TIVET expert.
That's right.
Okay, wonderful. So let's start from the beginning. What is technical learning? What would we define and classify as?
I mean, whatever we have been learning in our universities or the specializations we have done, they've gone to waste or what? Or they're still there?
Oh, debate.
So technical and vocational education is very much part of the regular education stream. And it is, so there are two streams within the technical and vocational. Let me start by explaining it a bit, because there is a lot of, you know, confusion around, is it part of the formal education system? Is it not? Is it a separate stream? What does it do? So let me start by explaining what TIVET stands for. So it's basically technical and vocational education and training. When we say technical education, this means longer term programs which have a pre-qualification criteria, which means you have to have a certain degree of education prior to joining a technical education skills. And these are,
And that can be high school or bachelor's?
that is usually that's up to 16, that's right. So for some it would be metric or the 10th, higher secondary, and for some it would be 12 years of formal education. And these are usually associate degree courses in, say, engineering, so associate degree courses there. Vocational courses or programs are shorter term programs. These are certificate programs. They don't have a pre-qualification criteria as such. And they usually prepare students for an immediate transition to the labor market or immediate employment. So they are very trade specific and they're short term and very hands-on practical courses.
Okay, so then that means that, you know, this technical vocational training is basically for the lower strata of the society? That's what we are trying to say over here?
No.
No.
Or people who cannot afford to study more after probably metric or FSC?
Okay, so here is our dilemma. We are a lot of people. We are over, yes.
I mean, even though it's a dilemma, we still need to say that.
So let's look at the potential of those 200 million people, and 60% of them are young people. So that means in the age cohort between 15 and 30 years. So when we are a
Still
lot
there.
of people,
Hanging in.
and by the year 2027, we are going to be, by the year 2025, we are going to be 227 million people. And 63% of us would be youth. So that's a lot of people. We have an education system which has its constraint, which means it is not provided to every child in the country. So when you say, and then when children are within the regular school stream, we have issues like dropout. So children, they are not able to continue education for many reasons, for economic reasons, for social reasons, for the sheer lack of access to good quality schools. So we have a lot of children who either don't join the education stream or who drop out. So vocational and technical training programs are kind of an alternate to those who are not able to sort of continue the mainstream due to certain reasons, or sometimes it's also an option and choice. Some people would prefer to immediately join the world of work and not go through a higher degree program. Then there is demand in the market for such people. So there are employment opportunities which attract people to actually sort of learn short-term skills.
Okay.
So it's
and
about
then
skill
transit to
labor.
market.
Yeah.
So it's about skill development.
Okay, and the thing is, like, just highlighting Shahzad's point that is it just for people who can't afford it? No, it's people who want to do something different in life as well. So, you know, it's not necessarily if you're financially struggling. Okay, now regarding Pakistan, like you've already mentioned, you've already brought it to this country, relating to it. The benefits of doing a TVET, you know, like getting involved in technical or vocational learning, what benefits do these kids get from it, and what benefits can a household achieve from it?
Okay, so the first and the foremost benefit is that it doesn't require a lot of prior education. So if you are disadvantaged, say for any reason, you have not been able to acquire certain levels of education, you always have this formal stream waiting for you.
Amazing.
So one thing is the immediate transition to that. Second is whatever you learn, there is a market for immediate transition to the labor market. An opportunity for immediate employment. So people who learn skills are able to sort of start earning quickly. And that's the benefit basically for them to be productively employed, and the benefit to their household when they're able to earn money. And as you mentioned earlier, there is this demand now for highly specialized jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
So people need to have specialized skills to be able to perform in different.
So let's
types
talk
of
about all of these technical skills and, you know, what type of training we can probably get, or all those people who are out there if they're interested. So what type of skills do you offer that, you know, you can come over and learn? So what are those skills? Probably fixing a machine or what?
Oh, okay, so there is this range. Let me also explain that skill development generally is both formal and informal. So we have this formal institutionalized training, which is the TVET sector, in which public sector providers and private sector providers, they provide in-school training programs. And then there is a lot of informal training that goes by. So we have this Ustad Shagird model, where apprenticeship model, where
Ustadji.
exactly, where you learn in an informal setting, but it's again skill acquisition. So there is this range of things that there is range of provisions in which you can actually learn different types of skills. For the shorter term programs, as I mentioned, you have things like plumbing, carpentry, embroidery, dressmaking. The list is unending.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, now in regards to the quality of the skill-based teaching provided to the students, how are we ensuring that the quality is, you know,
that those
international
is fine.
Yeah, you know, that's because the thing is, we should be aiming to not just our standards, but we should be aiming to an international standards, because then that way our citizens can, if they need to leave the country or if they need to do something, they can be applicable everywhere.
So quality deficit actually is one major challenge within the TVET sector. It's only recently that TVET sector has become sort of high in terms of it's become a priority in terms of policy discourse. People are talking about it. There's a lot of investment by the government in programs. Before that, it was not as much highlighted. So it's under-resourced, certainly, and that also leads to lots of issues in terms of access. So let me just give you an idea before going to quality, because these figures sometimes really appall me. For such a big, large youth cohort, we have only about 1,600 technical and vocational institutions in the country.
1,600?
Yes.
That's quite a lot, though.
I mean, it's
Is
more,
it?
well,
I mean, if we have got a total of 150
for people
universities.
who didn't know that there was anything like that, that's a lot. But for the people who are working in those sectors, that's not
Exactly.
No, but imagine if we have got 150 or 200 universities all over Pakistan, then 1,600 institutes, quite a
enough. No,
lot.
but the thing is, the ratio of people going to university, the ratio of people who need this skill-based learning is much bigger.
So we are looking at about 100 million people.
So 1,600 isn't a lot.
So 1,600, and the annual uptake is about 300 million.
Right, so this is the sector to invest in, I think. I've got a
Exactly.
brilliant idea today. All right, but other than that, I know it might be very irrelevant, but I think Pakistani people need to think about this as well. We keep on mentioning that, 60% population comprises of youth. Okay, what happens after 4 decades is that this 60% population is going to get old. And I don't know what 40% will be comprising of as well. I think we need to work on that too. Don't you think like that?
Actually, this is the demographic.
Because we'll get all the skills, we'll do all the work for 4 or 5 decades, and then we are all old.
Yes,
then
but in Pakistan, that window is not going to come any sooner. So we have first the demographic dividend, or this youth bulge. In the next 15, 20, 20, 30, 40 years, we are going to be more young people than older people. And in fact, the dependency ratio will decline. So we'll have more working people versus non-working people, that is children and adults. And that's actually the potential. That's what we call the dividend. We have actually a increasing human resource, which if productively engaged can boost the country's growth.
No, that's wonderful. So, but the thing is, in regards to ensuring the quality, this is what we're discussing. So I just want to know, how are these 1,600 institutions providing top quality, or doing justice to the students who are going there, who are trying to make their
and what
lives
are the
better?
other challenges, I think?
Okay, so in terms of quality, not only the numbers are very less, we have very few teaching staff. So there are not enough technical instructors within these institutions. Then we have issues with the curriculum. So training curriculum for a long period of time has been outdated. So whatever is taught in these institutions is not what the market requires or demands. So we have new technology being introduced in the market, but unfortunately the students are still taught trades and technologies which are redundant. So that's one issue. Then there are issues of teaching and learning materials. Technical education is a very expensive undertaking. You require a lot of, because it's hands-on training, so you require up-to-date, state-of-art equipments. And it requires a lot of laboratories. And it requires a lot of resources. And I mentioned earlier, this is one of the most under-resourced sector within education. So you don't have a lot of lab equipments within these institutions. That's another challenge. I mean, I've been to institutions in different parts of the country, and we found out that the young men were actually learning to be motor mechanics using engines from 1970s. And most of the technology was redundant. And so one of the institutions had this really innovative thinker teacher who had made friends with a workshop next door and was taking his students not in the lab but in the workshop next door to learn.
But that would make more sense, because I thought the whole idea of vocational training was to be in the company or in the environment, in the shop, on the floor, learning, because that's the whole point. It's about learning the interpersonal, all the skills that you actually need when you're in the job. So why would you need? See, that's okay. So let's discuss solutions now, because we're running out of time. Why would you need labs and investment in that when you have these mechanics, or you have all these companies that you can make a partnership with? Is there nothing like that going on?
Well, I think you are actually half TVET expert. What you're referring to is actually a very new model, which is called the combined vocational training model, or the dual training system, which was actually piloted in Germany, which means you bring...
This is what's happening in Europe.
Exactly. So this is called the dual training system, which brings the industry and the academic institution together. So you learn part of the training in school or in class, and then you learn the practical side of it in a work environment, in a proper work environment, in the industry, in the factory, or in a workshop. And that's what that is what we call an ideal system in which we have a balance of both.
Okay.
And it's being introduced in Pakistan.
But over here in Pakistan, I think that, we do have a problem in terms of that, our industry is not really linked up with our academia. Okay, that's another problem. And inshallah, in days to come, we'll definitely sort that out too. But other than that, if you think that this type of plan is going to come, which Maha was talking about, and you mentioned that, it was going on in Germany, do you think that, we'll be able to, or probably there won't be any need for another 100 institutions, which we were talking about earlier, because you said there we do require more institutions, then do you think that, that much of investment won't be required too as well? And how do you think it's going to work for us?
Okay, so we need to rope in the private sector, certainly, not just to use their workplaces as labs, but also make them our training partners. So we need a lot of investment from them to actually set up these institutions. So we have examples within our country actually in which certain industries have piloted labs in institutions. So they fund the lab, they know what skills they want, they provide the equipment that people will eventually be using at the workplace, and they supervise that
So it's
training.
demand and supply.
Exactly. So
Wonderful.
investment comes from the private sector.
And that's great, because the thing is that means that those people working, then you can start some system that, okay, we'll train you, we have a system, then you have to commit 6 months of once you've graduated from your school.
And having a skill will always leave you with bread. I think that's what it is. That's what the most important thing is.
Just a final message, because we've actually run out of time, but it's been wonderful talking to you. What would you like to say to everyone that's watching in regards to technical, vocational, and education?
Do I look there to say that? Or?
Look,
You can look over here. Her name is Dolly. Look in the
Dolly
eye.
and
Come
let
on,
her
yeah.
know.
Okay.
Dolly, say hello.
Hi. So, two things.
Yes.
One is, as we mentioned earlier, we need a robust partnership with the private sector as partners in skill development and skill provision. So one thing. The other is to actually improve the brand equity of this entire concept. It should not be seen as a backup. It should not be seen as something, a choice which you make only because you've run out of others.
Yeah, it's an alternative.
Exactly. It's a viable alternative. It should be projected as such, and the employment outcomes that are generated through it should be publicized so that people are encouraged to do that.
Okay, one last thing over here, and that is just because you mentioned that we shouldn't actually take it as an alternative, or we shouldn't marginalize it, or we shouldn't sideline it. Do you think, or are you trying to say that hands-on skill is something better than being in a university?
I can say that. I can't say that.
I think that's true, personally. For me, I think.
Yeah. You can't compare the two. I mean, university education.
If you can go to university, go. That's what
yeah, exactly. You have the opportunity, please pursue higher education. And if you want to, I mean, and it's not actually a question of if you don't, again, I don't want to sort of see again TVET as a backup. If you want to go immediately to the workplace, you want to learn a specialized skill, you want to create your niche within there, then TVET is your option.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Great, thank you so much for your time.
And how can people contact you?
Oh yes, how can we contact you?
Yeah, I mean, for somebody who wants to learn something,
about
how can they
technical,
contact?
vocational, is there any website people can go to and look?
Okay, so in just generally about TVET?
Yeah.
So we have NAVTTC, which is the Technical Commission by the federal government. They have an excellent website if you are looking for information regarding institutions or the courses. That's
NFTC.
NAVTTC. It's NAVTTC.
NAVTTC. Okay, great. So if you guys want to find out more, because the thing is, it is an alternative. It's not a backup, and it's really good if you want to learn about the world. And I feel like I made that mistake. I went straight into university rather than getting out into the world, working for a bit, and then going to education, because then you learn skills and you can study harder.
And the best part of being a Pakistani is that you think that you can pretty much do everything, but half the time you mess around.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly all right. Please make sure whenever you go to a mechanic as well, it's not his first time to probably open your engine, because he might not even be able to assemble it back again because he's not that trained. That's what we were talking about. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We've got another segment for you guys. That'll be very interesting too. Thank you very much to our guest. Stay tuned. Good morning.
कौमी सफर के 70 साल।
मैं पाकिस्तान में नहीं, पाकिस्तान मुझ में रहता है। मैं हूं पाकिस्तान।
Happy Pakistan Day. Best wishes to the people of Pakistan for Pakistani Day. And good luck to Pakistan.
23rd March is the identity of me and my country. I belong to it. This is my culture and my living. I know this country not because I was born here. I was not born here. I was born in Bulandshahr. But I came when I was just a child. And since then, I am in my country which is called Pakistan. Zindabad, Pakistan.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And for everybody who just got tuned into PT World, you're watching World This Morning alongside Shahzad and Maha. Earlier today, we were talking about TVET, which is Technical Vocational Educational Training.
Yes.
And, well, obviously, it's going to be very beneficial for all those people who want to get their hands on a skill. And obviously, it's going to always leave you with a piece of bread.
Exactly. And the thing is, what I realized when I finished my undergrad degree was that I had no transferable skills into the workplace. So when you're making your CV, especially because I know a lot of Pakistani parents don't allow their children to work before they finish their education. You know, there's part-time jobs. So abroad, you need to have other work experience before people give you a working opportunity. So that was one thing. This is why I really do believe in vocational and technical.
Exactly. And then, you know, Maha, over here in Pakistan, the problem over here is, you know, what happens that, for example, when you're done with your undergraduate and you want to work, your parents do not let you work because the fact that what we have seen is that there's a trail of those students who started working and then they never got back to the education.
Yeah.
So that's what the problem is with parents over here.
Yeah, exactly. They're scared. But the thing is, so the idea of linking our first segment to the second is that what I mentioned in the first half was that if you have technical and vocational training and then you leave the country and then you have to settle down. Now, when you have formal education, it seems to be much easier because, you know, you have more education, you know, your eyes are open to the ways of the world. However, with vocational training, you're learning the skills, so it's quite narrow. So when you go abroad, what is out there? You know, are people out there to help you? What is the situation?
For example, over here in Pakistan, what's happening is that there are linguistic institutions and people are flocking over there to learn Chinese. Just because of the fact that CPEC's taking place, you know, the countries you get to see more Chinese people over here, and then Pakistani people are going to China as well. They're learning the language so that they can settle in and gel in as well.
Okay, great. So that's what we're going to discuss because we have a lot of expat community outside of Pakistan. So we've been joined by Miss Aisha Ralph. She is a PhD scholar. Yes. She's also an educationist, and she is also teaching English linguistics to immigrants, refugees, and people in Canada. She's also the General Secretary of the Pakistani Canadian Association. Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you so much for joining us
Dr.
today.
Saiba, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Great, thank you so much for joining us. So I want to actually first jump on to your work with the immigrants and with the refugees. So you've moved to Canada. First of all, tell us how come you moved to Canada and what you're doing here today?
Yeah, I moved to Canada almost 2 decades ago.
Okay.
And I went with my husband.
Okay.
And
2 decades ago?
2 decades
Yeah.
ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, mashallah.
And yeah, working with immigrants and people with diverse ethnicities has always been my passion.
Okay, so did you, let me ask you this. Did you do your PhD from Pakistan and then go to Canada?
Namal University.
Amazing,
Yes.
excellent. And so when you went there, you decided to do some work.
Because yes, definitely.
Okay.
And I'm a people's person.
Okay.
So I love interacting with people. And Canada being a multicultural society, so it was a great experience.
What does your husband have to say about this? You talk a lot?
Yeah, like he has surrendered to my passion of socializing
But
with
how
people.
how was it for you to settle down over there, first of all? And then why did you initially thought about it that, okay, this is what I'm going to do, that I'm going to teach immigrants and everybody else over there in Canada specifically?
It's because, as I'm from Pakistan, definitely, and I know that people, when they come to a new country, they have so many anxieties. They have social, cultural, linguistic barriers, and to break those barriers and to get them mingled up with the Canadian culture and society, it is really important for a woman from their culture and society to help them out.
Okay, now in regards to the hurdles and difficulties that you see that people face in Canada, because you've been there for 20 years, you understand the situation. What are the hurdles that people can expect to go, and what should they prepare themselves before they go to a country like Canada?
First of all, the language barrier. Language barrier is really important. I won't say that people with technical expertise, they have it, they don't. But not everyone is there on a technical basis.
Yeah.
So just try to improve your language, because if you don't know the language, you are in a big trouble in Canada.
Yeah, this is what the problem is with people over here as well, because once I went to the US Embassy, they give you an option of, okay, you want to be interviewed in Urdu or English. Now, if you do not know how to speak English, make sure that you opt for the Urdu one, make your life easier. But they will still opt for an English one, and then it will be very hard for them to understand. And then half of the time, for all those immigrants, you know, for all those people who migrate from here to Canada or to any other country, they lie about their language as well.
Yes.
Most of the times, that's what I've witnessed.
What do you mean lie
Because
about the language?
they are shy about it.
You know, because
yeah.
they're shy about it, and when they were supposed to write it in their forms or whatsoever, they say that, you know, we're fluent
someone
in
else has done
English,
it.
and you know,
Okay.
this is what happened, and we have taken these tests.
Okay.
But when you meet them,
No,
it's
okay.
different.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect. So the language, you would say, is very important. Now another issue that we see with a lot of people when they travel abroad, and you're the perfect person to answer this because you've been abroad for 20 years, is a cultural issue. Is the fact that people go there and they get scared that they may lose their cultural identities or their values. When they come to you, how do you teach them about integrating without losing their roots?
Okay, first of all, we ask them to teach their first language to their children.
Okay.
Don't be shy about it. Don't feel bad that your children speak Urdu, Punjabi, Pashtun, or whatever language, because language brings culture.
Yeah.
If you forget a language, you're gonna just leave that culture as well.
Absolutely.
So don't forget the paratha culture and chapati. Don't be shy of it.
Or
Just-
bhindi culture.
Or bhindi culture. Just stick to it. Be proud of it. Be
Yeah.
a proud Pakistani. And then you're a Canadian.
Okay.
So just stick to your values.
But what are the most common anxieties people have to actually overcome?
Oh, a
there?
lot, like financial anxiety
Okay.
and cultural anxiety, obviously, and financial anxiety and emotional anxiety.
Yeah,
Because-
let's talk about the emotional anxiety. I mean, what do they
Yeah.
think? Because initially they're so excited about, oh, we're moving to another country, we've got the residence or whatsoever.
And while they're here, they can't stop complaining about their situation. But once they go back, they
Yeah.
miss
So then
it
why
so
do they
much.
even move?
Yeah.
Because the world is out there for us,
Okay.
All right.
right? And it's good to move around if you have the passion.
All right.
Right. And the second thing is that, yes, we are connected to the roots back home. And we cannot separate ourselves from our ancestors and our families, our grandparents. They live here, they have lived here. So this is the main attraction of Pakistan.
So how's life abroad though? I mean, generally, for people who move from Pakistan or from any other part of the world, because I've seen quite a lot of people migrating to Canada these days as well. It's a very common phenomenon these days. You know, you get to hear everyone go, oh, you know, we've got our papers and we're going and we're moving. How is life over there? Do you get jobs? You know, is there financial security? Is it
Is there
fine to be there?
acceptance? Is there cohesion? Do people accept you?
Like financial security, yes, you get it after a while. You cannot say if you are an engineer or a doctor, you'll go there, a job will be waiting out there for you. Most of the time, you have to improve your education. You have to get the Canadian experience before you get a better job, like a job in your field. This gives you financial security, but you have to wait for a couple of years to get settled in a new country. Let it be Canada or US or Germany or anywhere. Second of all, it's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful world out there. It does not mean that Pakistan is not beautiful. It's just if you have a passion to explore the world and whatever is waiting outside for you.
Okay.
And you guys have got a handsome leader as well, Justin Trudeau.
Oh my God, we all love him. We love him like anything. It's
great.
Such a lovable personality.
Okay.
Exactly,
Wonderful.
that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's all about inclusion, and he's, hopefully going to work on the indigenous rights as well. Because that's, I've been following it. So I've got,
good.
I've got an opinion, but I'm not going to share it on TV. But now, going forward, a lot of mothers or wives, they get worried because, with the children, because this was one thing that my parents also had, this fear that our children, like you said, you need to teach your children the language of, their initial language because it's about culture. But as a woman living abroad, the expectations are different there. Over here, you have different expectations.
Right.
Over there, it's different. You're also further away from family and extended family and in-laws. How is life there as a Pakistani lady?
It depends upon how you always wanted your life to be, even while you were in Pakistan.
Okay.
Right? So being a Pakistani woman, I'm a very desi person from inside.
Okay.
And so if you are a desi person from inside, you, your children, your daughters, sons, they're going to stay desi forever. But if you choose to be more Canadian, that's what they're going to be. So it's the way you brought them up.
Okay, but I think that's only to a certain age because my mother's very desi. Like she's always worn shalwar kameez in England. But I mean,
that's not how you define desi.
No, but I mean, and she's very well. What is desi then? What define desi? What's desi?
See, your dress defines you as well.
Even
Whatever you
abroad
wear,
it
that
does.
defines you. Whatever you eat
So why did you
shows-
say that you're desi from the inside?
Because
because then I'm a desi too. I mean, take a look. I'm wearing my national
You know,
dress too.
for now, this is quite desi.
Yeah. Okay.
There's one more thing which I want to ask, and I've seen quite a lot of people, who live abroad. They've got this problem as well. So now it's been 2 decades that you moved over there. Alhamdulillah, you might have children as well, right? So now what happens is when the children start to grow up, now because of the fact that they were born in Canada or probably in any other country, they are going to be in love with that particular country, no matter what you try to do. But as soon as they cross their teens, mothers want their daughters to get married back in Pakistan. Now, fathers want their sons to probably go back in Pakistan and do their own work. Kids do not want that. Kids do not like that as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
Why do you give them a cultural shock when they're all grown up?
I don't agree with this mentality of people abroad.
Okay.
If you have brought up your children
Yeah.
in a foreign country, why would you want them to have a spouse from back home now?
Yeah.
Or why would you want your daughters to go back home and get married?
Yeah.
So I am against this idea. I try to float the idea.
But what do people say? Because you meet with a lot of immigrants and refugees who then settle down in Canada, they make their life there, but then there are a lot of people who do send their children back to get married. Why, first of all, why do you think that's a problem? And secondly, why do they say they do that?
It's because they get scared when they get older.
Yeah.
They are scared that they will get disconnected with their roots.
Right.
Because they know their brother is living with their father,
Yeah.
and he wants to get connected with the father now. If he gets the son or daughter get married to their son, that's how the family will get connected. But they don't see what the child is going through
Yeah.
with all this.
No, but there's another dilemma which I've witnessed, and it is, I'm sorry people, but it is there within the heads of all those Pakistanis who are out there as well, because of the fact that, half of the time, even if their daughter or their son, and if they were liberal enough, gets married to a foreigner, or if the foreigner probably lets them get married to them, what happens is that what they say is that the marriage is not going to stay intact for a longer period of time. That's a very general observation, but that's what it is. So now, how does it work?
I didn't agree
Is
with
that the reason that they want their kids to get back home and then, marry over here in Pakistan so that the marriage work out? Or is it this foreign mentality that, you know, the marriage won't work out, gori le aayega, to pata nahi ki hoega?
Yeah, I've seen lots of goris
Yeah.
getting settled down with Desi men, and I would just say one thing, that Desi men are most liked in Canada.
I'm going.
Yeah, they know that Desi men are faithful.
Yeah.
Like our Pakistani men, they are really faithful. They love their wives. They are one-man person and everything.
One man person.
Yeah, one woman, one-woman person. Yeah.
Now, okay, now, on a serious note, because we are running out of time, it's because of the cultural connection, but also, is mentality changing though? Are people becoming more kind of globalized, or do we see with the more globalized the world is becoming, people are becoming more insular? What's happening?
Definitely globalization is working.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. And it's keeping us all together.
Yeah.
Bringing us together.
But in
bringing
our
us
minds
closer.
and our thoughts, like according to Shazad's question, is it making us more insular, or are we becoming more connected?
We are becoming more connected, I would say. Social media, wow. It's
Okay.
the best thing. Like whatever I do, I post it on Facebook. Why? Because I have got relatives around the world.
Okay.
I cannot call them every day, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
and social media is
So
the
what's up,
best.
call them?
Yeah,
reach
WhatsApp
someone
call
every
is
day,
like
yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the best use of technology. But other than that,
Yeah,
for all
fine.
those people who are planning to move abroad and who've got their hopes high, what would you like to say to them that this is what you guys need to do, probably because
Some
you're acting
advice.
as a manual right
Yeah.
now. So talk to them, tell them that, you know, if you're going, keep these things in your head, and this is how you need to progress.
If you want to go to Canada, come to Canada. The world is out there for you. This does not mean that you don't love Pakistan. We all love Pakistan. Like I am a Pakistan Zindabad in everything, everywhere I go, and I'm a proud Pakistani. So for the people who want to come to Canada, just improve your English language skills, the listening, reading, speaking, writing skills, they are going to help you out. Don't think that when you will come to Canada, a great job is going to wait for you. Just be there, work hard. If you want to improve your education, improve it, and never put your morale down, because you are gonna make it one day. Just wait for a couple of years and you'll get settled down.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, and that's really good advice for everyone out there. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your visit to Pakistan.
Thank you very
But Thank
much.
you so much. But we actually have to do our fruit of the day before we
Yeah.
wrap up. So we're going to just bring it up. So the fruit
And
of the
it's
day is
avocado, yeah?
Avocado.
Avocado.
Yeah. So let's take a look, guys.
Avocado. This is how it looks, guys.
So yes, it looks like this.
And it's not yummy at all. I mean,
It
I've tried
is.
eating
Oh
it
my
quite a lot of
goodness.
times. I don't know. I have a
Okay,
disagreement over
he
here.
clearly hasn't eaten the right things with avocado, but I'm going to make you something and you'll like it.
Okay, but the health benefits are
It reduces the risk factors for heart disease,
contributes to 8% of daily fiber, aids in stabilizing blood sugar.
and it's got a lot of naturally good fat, and it's a really good source for potassium.
And it maintains a healthy heart as well and boosts immune system.
And if you want glowing skin, then this is the fruit to eat. And also, if you're swollen and you're all like inflamed, this is also very good because it's anti-inflammatory. And for all the ladies and men out there, it's also anti-aging.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So that's brilliant. And the thing is, you clearly haven't eaten like guacamole and stuff. So I'm going to make that for you and you're going to like it. And I'll bring it on the set so you can eat it.
All right, I think we'll
With
have
like
to do that.
nachos.
Because all around the globe, there are avocado restaurants opening up as well, and
It's
they've got these
good.
different dishes and menus as well. So, I mean, if you haven't tried it, do try it, and people are crazy about it because it's literally very healthy for your heart.
It's so good for you. But anyway, on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you want any more information, do log on to our Facebook
Which
fan
is with the
page,
name of World This Morning.
our Twitter page,
World This Morning without a G.
our Daily Motion and YouTube page,
World This Morning and World This Morning.
and
once
the
again.
repeat is at.
11 p.m.
Have a wonderful day. We will see you bright and early. Not as early tomorrow, but we will see you bright and early tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
very
much.
much.